Sahana Bhavatu Sahanao Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So chapter 5 verse 15 we had completed last week. If you all remember, where in 14 and 15 he talks about the self, the pure consciousness, being not only the enlivening principle within us. He calls it Prabhu in verse 14. So you have a body, mind, intellect. This is matter, Prakriti in Sanskrit. But what enlivens the matter is the consciousness, the Lord, the self. So what he says in 14, the Lord creates neither doership nor action but union with the fruit of action, but nature manifests itself. So what did we study? Everybody believes that God self has something to do with your action. It does to the extent it gives you the power to function. Unless you're conscious, how can you live? Life is defined by consciousness, right? This table is not conscious. This body, the difference between this body and the table, scientifically there's no difference. It's just matter. But this body has consciousness functioning in it. You're conscious of your environment. You're conscious of your desires, your thoughts. And that consciousness is what enlivens everything. But it has nothing to do with what you do. See, you could be conscious of a virtuous desire in you. You could be conscious of a vicious desire in you. How you decide to act, what does consciousness have to do? Sakshi, that's what he says. There's neither doership nor action nor union with the fruit of action. Like gas in a car. Has nothing to do with where you go, whether you hit an accident. Nothing to do with the car's performance. But without it, nothing will happen. So in fact, that's the theme of next week's talk, right? Next Sunday, we're having this talk on law of karma. It's all karma, action which matters. The self remains a detached witness. Then how do you act? Nature manifests itself. You have a desire to drink, you go to a bar. You have a desire to learn, you go to education. You have a desire for sports, you go to the sports field. This is nature. Nature means your desires, your vasanas manifest themselves. Why do you praise or blame God? And then in 15, the Lord accepts neither the sin nor even the virtue of anyone. Knowledge is veiled by ignorance. Beings are thereby deluded. So at a metaphysical level, he calls the Lord Vibhu. Vibhu means to be. Vibhu, be everywhere, all pervading. So the same consciousness in you is the consciousness everywhere in all beings. And what they do, sin or virtue, it has nothing to do with the self. Self remains detached. But the problem is your understanding of this is veiled by ignorance. And that's the delusion of this world. That's what we've been studying in the Vedanta class on Saturdays, right? We just completed illusion yesterday, Maya. How is an illusion created? When your knowledge of the real object is veiled by ignorance. There's a rope lying. This is the standard example used in Vedanta. The boy doesn't know it to be a rope. Therefore, he believes it's a snake. His knowledge is veiled by ignorance. Therefore, he's deluded. So we don't understand the all-pervading self, Vibhu, everywhere. Our knowledge is veiled by ignorance, and that creates the delusion of this world. So why are you blaming the self? It's your own delusion. See, there's a movie projected on a screen in a theater, right? So the projector has a light which runs through the film and projects the whole thing on the screen. You all understand that, right? Simple. Now, equate the screen to the self and the light in the projector also to the self. That is Prabhu, the light, Vibhu, the screen. So when the light is projecting on the screen, it's just a blank screen. But when does the movie start? When there's a film which passes through that projector, then you see that movie projected. So what is that film? What's the film? Thoughts, desires. There is the consciousness everywhere. But when it passes through this film of desires, there is the world. So the light in the projector has nothing to do with what's happening in the movie. The screen also doesn't get affected by what's happening in the movie. Both are detached. You're interesting. If there's a flood in the movie, the screen doesn't get wet. If there's a fire, it doesn't burn. If there's a great act of saintliness in the movie, the light, nothing happens. Light projects both saintliness and crime. So if you understand both these examples, it makes it, this is actually what's happening. So there is that pure light, the pure consciousness. Now you have, out of ignorance, run that film of desire. And we get caught up in what's being projected. That's all that's happening. So the whole goal is to remove that film. What remains is pure light, pure consciousness. Beings are thereby deluded. So the delusion is because that film is so powerful. Just as a child starts thinking it's real and gets totally caught up in our childishness, spiritual infancy, that's where we all are. We get completely caught up in this projection called the world. Totally caught up. So you have to gain this knowledge and understand what's going on and try and overcome this delusion. Sahasranam manushyeshu kaschit yatati siddhayo. He says out of thousands of people, hardly one strives for this. Krishna, it says that now we are in the 5th chapter, 7th chapter, he says. So that was 15. And in 16 he says, those in whom ignorance is destroyed by knowledge. So the whole solution is nothing but knowledge, which that's what we're trying to do, gain knowledge. 16. Sorry, before that. Yes.
Questions related to both the verses.
Okay.
So, verse 14, the question is regarding the doership. From an absolute standpoint, there is no doership, but from a relative or an individual standpoint, the concept of doership exists because of my identification with the body, mind, intellect. Is that right?
Yeah, see, the doership is the feeling that I am doing. What he's trying to say is the self doesn't do something, but out of delusion, when you believe yourself to be this body, mind, intellect, you believe you are the doer, right? That's what he's saying. Self is not the doer.
But at my level, always the doership exists, right? Because I have not identified.
See, doership, it will exist because we don't know the self. So we believe ourselves to be this person. What he's saying is, don't make it worse. Already there's a problem. So we are making it worse by going along with this ego. It's called kartritva bhavana in Sanskrit. I have done something. It's an ego. So why are you going along with it? That's what you're asking from my standpoint. How do I look at it? That's how you have to look at it. So no ego of doing, no ego that I have to do this, no craving for the fruit of action. Just do whatever ought to be done without this feeling of I am doing it. In other words, don't be selfish and make the problem worse. So function for a cause above your ego. That's all it means practically. Correct?
I have part B to this.
Yes.
So the doership can inflate my ego if the fruit of action is good or sweet. So as a devotee, if I understand that my BMI is just a means or one of the causes to the end or a good outcome, will that prevent my ego from getting inflated? Or what are the principles that I can follow so the doership does not inflate my ego?
I just explained, no, you're asking what are the principles so doership doesn't inflate your ego, right? See, all of you must understand what he's saying here first, right? The Atman has nothing to do with the action. Just as petrol has nothing to do with the car's movement. That's the driver. That's what he says. Nature manifests itself. It's your desires which manifest themselves. The consciousness has nothing to do with it, right? So, this is from the absolute standpoint. Now, from our standpoint, what you're asking, we should function for a higher purpose in life beyond our ego. That's what prevents you from getting worse into this feeling of I and mine. That's all. We've already explained that. This is to explain that the self, God has nothing to do with your action. You yourself are responsible. Now, how do you perform the right action is what you're asking. We've already talked about it. Clear?
And one more question regarding 15. So, can knowledge here be understood as self or consciousness because it's veiled by ignorance, which is our vasanas?
Yes, knowledge here in this context means self. The knowledge that you are the self is the real knowledge, the awareness. That's why we call it self-realization, right? It's nothing but knowledge. You understand you are the self, you experience it. Right now, we don't experience the self. Instead of knowledge, strike it out and say experience of the self. That becomes clearer, right? Knowledge of the self. It's veiled by ignorance. What an incredible thing has happened. It's like a billionaire dreaming that he is in complete and utter poverty, where he's starving. It's exactly what has happened. You're a billionaire, not even trillionaire. And now you're dreaming that you are in complete poverty and starving. You believe that. It's exactly like that, right? So that knowledge that you are a trillionaire is veiled by ignorance. And you're imagining something. Got it? It happened to all of us. Beings are thereby deluded. So that's what the masters keep saying, wake up. Jago logo mat so karo na neend se pyar, says Kabira. Wake up. Why are you in love with your sleep? Spiritual sleep, right? जैसा सपना रहन का वैसा ये samsar. This is just like last night's dream. This whole thing you're going through. 16.
ज्ञानेन तु तदज्ञानम् येषां नाशितमात्मनः तेषामादित्यवत् ज्ञानम् प्रकाशयति तत्परम्.
But in whom ignorance is destroyed by knowledge, in them knowledge reveals the supreme. Prakashayati tatparam, like Adityavat, like the sun shines forth. So, as we were just discussing, the whole problem is ignorance and ignorance alone. So, you are that supreme being, that pure consciousness, that infinite bliss, now ignorant of that fact. And in ignorance, we project this illusory, false existence. So, what is the cure for ignorance? Knowledge. If you don't understand, how can you follow? How can you pursue something? A person is living in a slum, he's born in a slum with huge high walls. He's totally ignorant of the life outside. Unless somebody from outside comes and explains to him, even though he doesn't understand some kind of explanation. Only when he understands that beyond those walls is where true happiness lies, much better life, only then will he pursue that. So, unless you understand what your true nature is, what these higher values are, how can you pursue it? How can you do anything? So, people believe just close your eyes and think of something. There's no head or tail in what people do today. What is taught, what is heard. I felt something, I'm doing something. Unless you gain knowledge, you cannot move an inch. You just can't. That's what he says. In whom ignorance is destroyed by knowledge, the Supreme is revealed like the sun. So the sun example is often used. There's darkness. There's only one antidote to that entire darkness. The sun has to come out. Only then you'll be able to see. And the beauty is, let's say the seeing of the sun is enlightenment. Much before you see the sun, what is there? There's still light. You can go out, you can run, you can exercise, you can even read a book in the light of the dawn. So, friends, you don't have to wait till enlightenment. Much before that, you will have enough knowledge to lead a beautiful life in the world. You'll be peaceful, you'll be successful, and you'll move towards the final state. So, what else do you want? The whole problem is, if all this is so simple, so clear, what is the problem? Hmm? What is the problem?
It gives instant pleasure.
Huh?
Instant pleasure.
The world gives instant pleasure, and
You know what it is.
Vedanta gives instant displeasure. I'm not joking. This is the problem. See, in the beginning, when you're in college, to sit and study and really put in your heart and soul, and all your friends are jumping and dancing around, cutting class, that is pleasure. This is displeasure. But if you go through that initial displeasure, you get that job which you're permanently set. They are all going to suffer because they didn't put in that initial effort. Everybody, in anything. So initially, because your mind is so attached to the world, to pull it out and even put in some effort to understand this is a lot of, it's not palatable. I'm telling you all, you have to get up in the morning, you have to read, you have to think, you have to question. It's not easy. But your friend says, let's go for a movie, it's instant pleasure. Let's go for a dinner, instant pleasure. Let's go for a picnic, or let's go for this or that. That's the problem. That's the disconnect. But once you cross over that initial hurdle, this becomes pleasure and pleasure and pleasure. And people who get into this materiality, sensuality, initially, no doubt, it is pleasurable. Then it becomes a monotonous, routine boredom. How much ever money you have is boring. What are you going to do? It's just some figures which you look at, but there's no pleasure out of it beyond what you need liberally. So don't worry about that initial reaction. You've got to plow through it. And the whole thing opens up. Like he says, there's a dawn followed by the sunrise. So even people constantly keep messaging me or emailing that this has helped me so much, thank you, and this and that. And they're not being false. Even a little bit they put in effort, it makes so much of a difference. Imagine if you put in your heart and soul. That's what I tell them. This is just the beginning. Keep going. Don't stop. "17, he talks about what you need to do.
तद्बुद्धयस्तदात्मानः तन्निष्ठास्तत्परायणाः गच्छन्त्य पुनरावृत्तिम् ज्ञाननिर्धूतकल्मषाः
With mind and intellect established in that, with that as the supreme goal, they whose sins have been dispelled by knowledge reach a state of no return. What he is talking about here is how do you get to that state of perfection? So in fact, he talks about that state of Brahman with respect to the seeker's past, what he has done to achieve that state. So, whose sins have been dispelled by knowledge. Sin, I have told you, is mental agitation. Why it is considered a sin? Because your real state is peace and bliss. So if you are in a state of mental agitation, it means you are not in your real state of divinity. Therefore, it's sin. Philosophically, sin has nothing to do with the action, it's the state of mind. And how do you get rid of sin? He says again, knowledge. Nothing but knowledge. When you understand the higher, you drop the craving for the lower. It's as simple as that. When you understand what is better, will you pursue what is inferior? You won't. So that's how you come out of this. Sin means unfulfilled desires, the selfish desires, nothing else. So what do you need to do? It's not just the intellectual knowledge. The mind must also be established in that. So what direction your intellect sets, by an understanding, your mind should also feel in that direction. In fact, the more they come into confluence, the more you'll grow. See, right now what's happening, even though you understand this has to be pursued, at least some of you are following the knowledge, right? What's the problem? Your mind is still going towards the world. You're not able to keep the mind going there. If you were, where's the problem? You'll become a saint overnight. The problem is that what you understand, the mind doesn't follow. So you have to keep that focus going. It's nothing but practice. The more knowledge you get, the more you understand, the more determined you are, the mind starts following it. Yes. That feeling itself comes. Yes, I must pursue the self. So mind and intellect. Tad buddhaya, tad atmana. Atmana in this context, the mind, the inner feeler. Established in that. How? Tat parayana. Now this is the main thing. You understand the self is the supreme goal of life. This understanding we don't have now. What is supreme to you? Supreme in the sense, what is the most important thing to you? All this is okay, but after all, my son is a piece of my heart. My son, daughter, that is the most important thing. Spouse. So what do you have a value for the most? Think of that. Could be money, could be family, could be power. These are normal things. You'll become spiritual the day you understand the self. God is far higher. That has to be pursued. These are just temporary roles in this world. So that we don't understand. No matter what you do, the mind still considers your attachments as the highest. Therefore, so with knowledge, slowly the whole thing changes. No, the highest is the self. Everything else comes after that. So that you're not able to do. So you can't say no to things which you believe are detrimental to your spiritual growth because you don't have that conviction. What to do? My friends forced me. Don't say that. You have a weakness. With mind and intellect established in that, with that as the supreme goal, they whose sins have been dispelled by knowledge reach a state of no return, apunaravrittim. What is the implication? Self is the state of no return, means it's permanent. Once you get there, you can never lose it. What's the implication?
The level that you've grown.
Level have you grown?
You're not going to be born again.
Not going to be born again. Self is a state of no return, permanent state. What's the implication? Huh? Everything else is just borrowed. It has to be returned. That's what you don't understand. But my wife, just borrowed time, has to go, return. She will leave you, you will leave her, one will die. It has to finish. Your wealth has to be returned back to whoever. Whoever is the next holder. You're just placeholder. It's like, placeholder in the line. Guy comes, takes your place. It's like that. You're just a placeholder. He'll come and take it away. Your health will go, your wealth will go, kids will go, life will go. You don't understand. Only the self is the state of no return. Means once you get there, it's the fourth state. It's like once you wake up from a dream, nobody and nothing in the dream can take that away. That dream is gone. You've passed it. You overcome it. So everything is a temporary phase, transactional phase. You say you love a person. For what do you love them? For what they do for you. First of all, you don't love them. You just love yourself because you love what they do for you. The moment they stop doing it, you discard them. This attachment. Same thing with them. Bhaja Govindam says that, right? As long as you have the ability to earn wealth, your dependents are with you. Yavat vitto parjana sakta, tavan nija parivaro rakta. And then you live, once you lose that capacity, says nobody talks to you in your own house, in your own home. First, you won't have your own home also. It will be a different home where they may not come. Assisted home. So you got to ask yourself at the end of the day, what are you doing what you're doing for? And somebody said it correctly when I was asking. It's not just enlightenment. I've told so many of you, even in personal conversations, what you don't understand is to the extent you grow spiritually, that can never be taken from you. Let's say you're 40% evolved. 40% you'll be peaceful. 40% you'll be calm. You'll be mature, methodic, focused. All those qualities are permanent. Even if you die, you start exactly with the same mind and intellect. 40% pure mind, 40% sharp intellect. You'll start the next time around. But everything else will go. So, what is your problem? That's what in the next verse, next chapter you'll see when Krishna asks Arjuna that same question. Arjuna asks Krishna the same question. I'm putting in this effort and I don't get enlightenment, what will happen? What will be my state? He says, what's your problem? Nahi kalyana krit kaschit. Nobody who does good ever comes to grief. It's never lost. Everything else is lost. So you know that story of it's there in the treatise, The 5-Year King. The beautiful story. I haven't told it for a long time. So it's important because it talks about the means and the end. So there was a kingdom where it had a peculiar tradition. They used to choose a king for 5 years from the commoner. So anybody can stand for that. But the condition is, after 5 years, you have to give up the kingdom and they take you across the river to an island which is inhabited by wild animals. Means you're sure death. They'll finish you off. And there's no escape from that. So what is the condition of the king? So people become a king. First year, fantastic. All king. Second year, little less. 5 years coming soon. I didn't realize 1 year over. Third year, lot of stress. Fourth year, you can only think of what happening after it. And then after 5 years, they carried out in a stretcher, literally forced. So one young boy became the king, and it was totally opposed because everybody thought he was enjoying. Second year, more enjoying. Third year, even more. Fourth year, much more. And they all wondering, when is this guy going to understand? In a few months, he's going to be dead. So what he had done in the first year itself, he took a huge piece of land in the neighboring kingdom and started building his own townships there, sending people. Nobody knew, all done, preparing. And so every year he knew, well, let it go on. And only thing which he didn't do, in fact, the other side, where he's supposed to go, he started building and all that. And what is the only thing he didn't do? The boatman. The boatman who takes him to the other side. He said, I need a boatman to take me to the to back or whenever I need to go. I forgot to make this arrangement. So he pays the boatman the last day also. No problem. Even that is arranged. Long and short, while he's in the 5-year period, he's made the full arrangements for after that also. So even while he's in this 5 years, he's enjoying every bit of it because he knows. So those 5 years is our life where you don't know after that. So as you get closer, as you go through life, it becomes more of a drudgery. And you fear the unknown, death. For what? Because you're not prepared. There's no knowledge. There's no understanding. So while you're in this state, you have to understand and prepare for everything, here and hereafter. That's what he says. You reach the state of no return. So friends, be at least as smart as that king. Be happy here and keep growing. Make sure you're well prepared. So you go happy. Ayo Kabira says, no? Jab tu aaya jagat mein, jag hase tu roye. ऐसी करनी कर चलो, तू हंसे जग रोए. So when you came into this world, you were crying and everybody was laughing, right? Because when the baby starts crying, they all get excited. Normal, not stillborn. But when you go, you should be laughing. Everybody should be crying. Now what is happening when you go? You are crying. And everybody outside they're crying. Inside they're all happy. Those who are getting your property are happy. Those who are rid of you, the burden, they are happy. Why would who wants you around? Only you want to be around. You should say thank you very much, goodbye, happy. And they should be crying. We're losing such a great soul. That should be your life. Reach a state of no return. So there is a solution, friends. This is Vedanta. You understand your life clearly in this world and you understand the purpose and you're fully committed to it. Mind and intellect. So what is the problem? What's the problem? What did we learn in this verse?
No other way other than knowledge.
No other way than knowledge. Correct. With knowledge, what happens?
Even though we understand, mind goes to the world.
Your mind goes to the world. With that as the supreme goal. We don't understand this is the most important thing. This temporary existence is given to us only to realize the self. That's the mission and purpose of life. We don't understand. Everything else is important to you except why you're here. Now, whose fault is that? So it's just complacency. You think it will go on. All of us believe it will go on. You see people getting terminal diseases around you. You see people dying. You see bankruptcies. You see all kinds of problems. Children are suffering. Whatever is happening, you believe. You think you're in your own world. All this cannot happen to me. It's total complacency, total ignorance. Yeah.
Gautamji, in these two verses, the way it's constructed, he uses ignorance destroyed by knowledge and then sins dispelled by knowledge. Is he also saying, is he establishing like the importance of this of Jnana Yoga versus the other paths? Like, is he saying there may be other paths, but this is the only one?
Is he talking about knowledge versus the other paths? See, first of all, it is knowledge by which you practice the other paths. I've told you. That's what they're trying to say. Without understanding the higher, how can the mind flow to it? The mind flowing to the higher is devotion, right?
Yeah.
The second path of devotion. How can the mind flow to something which it doesn't understand as a higher? That's why the mind is flowing to the lower, to your children, to your money, to your property. Why? Because the mind understands. At least there you'll get something. So unless the mind understands, there you'll get something much higher. Why will it flow? That's what people don't understand. Oh, I practice devotion. How can you have devotion without understanding? But I was born with that, I had that, you'll say. That is because in the past you had some knowledge. Otherwise, why will the mind go? The mind only goes where it knows it can get bliss. Period. And then why will you act for something unless you understand what it is? You're acting for a degree because it knows it, you know it will get you a job. No? So what are we talking? It is knowledge which directs the mind and the body. Right? That's why the first chapter of the Gita is sorrow. Second chapter of the Gita is what? Knowledge. Third chapter is action. With the knowledge, you have to act. And that's how you grow. When you act with the knowledge, the desires quieten down and the mind automatically flows to the higher. You get it? It's all connected, but the whole thing is spearheaded by knowledge. Without that, nothing happens. Why do we keep saying monotonously, you have to get up in the morning, study, right? Without that, you won't even do your action properly if you don't understand. Clear? Yes, Jayu.
Hariom Gautamji, there are people who follow the path saying that there is something higher just based on faith. So they don't seem to need anything else in terms of knowledge as we understand knowledge to be. They believe that there is something higher and then they follow that path, devotion.
What? Believe there's something higher? Why are they following it?
Because they believe there is something
What
higher.
are they believing it for? That's what I'm asking you. Because that, whatever that faith I have, they'll take care of my family. They'll take care of my money. That is what the prayer has become. You believe in something and you believe it will take care of you. What? Nothing to do with devotion. Find me one person who wants to become one with God. That is devotion. I want to merge with God. Find me. I'm not trying to challenge you. Find me one person. So I have no other interest in anything. I just want to merge with God. That is actually devotion. Go find and we'll talk. There are people who say that we don't. There's no idle chatter. For what? Please ask them. I am not challenging you. You forget about them. Where does your mind go? All of you. All your mind goes to areas where you know you're going to get something. My children give me happiness, your mind goes there. My money gives me happiness, your mind goes there. My career gives me happiness, your mind goes there. Simply, they have a mind. Unless you understand the self is higher than all this, your mind will not go there. He's just saying that with mind and intellect established in that. In fact, even in the qualities of a bhakta, a devotee of God, not one place is it mentioned. 35 qualities we just did, no, in the retreat. One place did he say he prays. He comes and prays to God. Not one thing. Adveshta sarva bhutanam, hates nobody. Ask that person who has faith. Do they hate anybody? Yes, they are not devotees. So anybody is to see, we're trying to understand. It's not easy. They have faith. Nothing wrong with faith. But for what do you have faith? Yes, I have faith that particular deity, they'll take care of me if I pray. That is what it boils down to. So everyone has their beliefs. That's not what we're talking. We're talking what is true devotion. It will not come without knowledge. If it is there truly, it has come from the past. There have been cases. This is why you all get confused. Mirabai was 5 years old or 7 years old. She saw idol of Lord Krishna and she got fixated and never thought of anything else. Are any one of you in that condition? That comes from the past. They've already created a tremendous fixation through knowledge in the past life. It comes very early in this. You think you can just replicate that? Everybody believes it. She did it, why can't I? Try. So you want to develop that purity of feeling. You must understand what that self is. Then your mind will go. Yes, Mahesh.
Hariom, what would be the path then for people who don't have access to knowledge or who don't have the capacity and capability to understand this knowledge?
No. If you want to grow spiritually, you have to understand the knowledge in your own way. You have to find somebody who will teach it to you in a way you can understand. That's all. That's all there is. If you want to grow as a human being, so you have to find the guidance. That's what he's saying. For ignorance, what is the cure? Knowledge. What if I can't get knowledge? You remain ignorant, no? So you have to gain the knowledge, and that's it. So that's
So
why
people
in the
who
Puranas, the
people
knowledge.
who are
Sorry?
people who are destitute, people who don't have the ability to understand these things in the teachings, what do they do?
What do you mean, what do they do? They have to. It's like saying a person who is destitute doesn't have the ability to eat. What do? They have to work towards getting that ability to feed themselves. Others have to help them get that ability. It's the same thing. Every time this question comes, what is if a person is destitute? Yeah, there's so many people in poverty in the world. What do? They have to find a way to feed themselves, or others have to help them, right? It's the same thing with knowledge. They have to find it, or others have to help them gain access to it. Now, you are worried about what do they do. You worry about you have access to it, you learn it. When you learn it,
agree.
you can teach it to them. That should be your focus. If you want to help them, learn it, and teach it to them in a way they'll understand. That's the role of these teachers and masters. They give out the knowledge to the world. Roberta?
Yes. Back to the question about the difference between faith and devotion. Some of us were instructed in religions that talk about this interaction with the self. It's sort of like more like an exchange of love, so that when we do chants, meditate, can communicate with the self. That's not at all represented in this model.
No. The self.
Does the self love us?
No, I'm sorry, what did you say at the end? When she got muted?
Does this self love us?
See, the self is beyond the body, mind, intellect. Please understand that. Your physical body can contact the sense objects, right? Your mind can see, your ear can hear. I'm sorry, your mind, I'm saying. Your eyes can see, your ear can hear, etc. Your mind can feel emotions, what you're talking about, like love, hatred, jealousy. Your intellect can conceive thoughts and ideas. You understand till here? So, your world is your body, mind, intellect on one side, perception, emotion, thought on the other side. This is the world. Now, by definition, consciousness is beyond the world. So it's beyond the reach of your thinking, feeling, and physical senses. By definition. In fact, in the Upanishads, he says, it is that which makes your mind feel, but that which your mind cannot feel. That is God, not what you're worshipping here in this world. So anytime there's an interaction, it becomes part of the world. It's terrestrial, not transcendental. So anybody who's dreaming, he can think, feel, conceive in the dream, but that is totally different from waking up from the dream. So this self-realization is like waking up from the dream. Till then you have no access to it. But having said that, to the extent you get closer to the self, you develop those qualities. So the self is everywhere. So as you get closer to enlightenment, your emotions will go everywhere. You will feel one with all beings. In that sense, there's an indirect contact. You will feel that commensurate happiness. So these are the characteristics of a person who grows spiritually. So you have to understand in that way. The closer I get, the more I acquire those qualities. But you will understand it and experience it only when you get enlightened, not before then.
Thank you.
Yes, Vin?
Good morning, Gautamji. My question is, how can one find the right teacher? Right now there are so many gurus and people.
So how do you find the right teacher?
Yes.
You're right. It's not an easy thing. How you find the right teacher is you can explore the persons who you believe can help you gain knowledge, right? And then you hit upon somebody who, over an extended period of time, let's say a few months or whatever, you're comfortable that this person has been able to answer your questions and knows much more than you. You get that confidence, right? Over a period of time. It's not one or two random talks. Then that person becomes your teacher, your guru. And once you decide that it is that person, before that you have full freedom to choose, to look around. But once you decide, then you must follow what that person tells you. Otherwise, you're not going to get anywhere. You still have full freedom to clarify your doubts. That's why I keep telling you all, you can ask your questions. Once a week, I have a dedicated Q&A for all your questions, right? You can continue asking. You don't have to fanatically swear by anything I say in case I'm your teacher. But once you decide, then you must follow. It's like you shop around for university, right? And you go there, you see the faculty, you meet the thing. And then after a lot of research, you're comfortable, this is the place. Now, once you enroll there, you can't say, let me also, what is happening in that other university? What is happening in that? Then you're not going to get anywhere. You're not going to learn here, you're not going to learn there. So you're right. Now there is a dime a dozen, literally. Everywhere you look, I think there are more teachers than students. So, so you have to use your intellect again. And if you're genuinely interested in knowledge, a person who over a period of time can answer your doubts to your satisfaction, you choose that person. Got it?
Yes. Thank you.
So next Sunday, we will have the law of karma talk, right? You all know that, not the regular class. So as we've been discussing, if you've not already, make sure you forward this information to your friends, your family. It's a good introduction to what Vedanta is. And the link to join this session is different from our usual weekly link. Please make a note of that. So you will get that over email on Wednesday or Thursday. So if you've not registered, please register for this on our website. And we also have sent an email to the newcomers about our WhatsApp community, just to get information like this. If you're not on it and you haven't received that, send us a message and we'll get you on that group. Correct? So Wednesday there's no Q&A. I'm traveling for a couple of days, but we'll meet on Saturday for the Vedanta session and Sunday for this Karma talk. Hari Om.